This episode of iFanboy is sponsored by Gamefly and Squarespace. This week on iFanboy, Josh reviews one of his favorite comics, Ron profiles a Canadian superhero, and Conor takes a look at a new kind of comic book storage system.
Hey, welcome to iFanboy, the video podcast from the comic book site iFanboy.com. I am Josh Flanagan. Later in the show, we're going to have some more segments from Ron Richards and Conor Kilpatrick, but first it's just me. So we're going to do some little segments. You might call them minis. Here's what I wanted to talk to you about today. Maybe it's just me. Have you ever read something and you really, really loved it, and it was a really long time ago? So all the time since then, you've been saying, oh man, that is a great book. I love that book. And then all of a sudden you realize it's been like 8 years since you looked at it. You only read it the once and you don't really know. But then you get a chance to reread it. And then you have a video show and you want to tell other people about it, but you're not sure if you should really keep telling about it because you don't remember. Okay, that part might just be me. Anyway, one of my favorite books from one of my favorite writers and artists is Sleeper by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. And I've been talking about this book almost nonstop since the podcast started, and I try to always make sure I recommend it because it's just this wonderful page-turning book that you can't put down, you can't get enough of. It's just so very good. But I haven't really read it since it came out, so that kind of makes me not a liar, but I felt like I should catch up. Anyways, Wildstorm and DC released these new versions of the book. They were originally called omnibuses, but they didn't really work that way. But they're all 12 issues of each season. There are 2 seasons in one volume. So this is the first volume. It's listed at $25, but you probably get it cheaper somewhere else, which makes it sound like I'm asking you to steal it. I'm not. I'm saying there are various discounters where you can buy it legitimately for a more agreeable price. Anyway, this is tied into the stuff that Alan Moore actually did on the Wildcats, where he created a character named Tao. And Tao was he was the good guy on the team, and then it turned out that he was a bad guy, and he's very, very smart, and he was created in a lab. And he is the sort of main bad guy in this book. And I didn't know that the first time I read it, but I went back and I found that out. And Brubaker really did a book that was actually tied into the continuity of Wildstorm, if you wanted it to be. The Wildcats exist in this story, but only in the background, and there are superheroes and stuff, but not really. So what it's really about is an agent, a sleeper agent, hence the title, who is gone deep underground with a criminal organization headed by Tao and just a few other people. And there's only one guy who knows that he is undercover, and that guy is in a coma. So no one knows. He's out in the cold, as it were. And this is a story about like a character who sort of wanted to be a good guy and then ended up being a bad guy for the sake of being a good guy, and it went on for so long that he didn't really know. He lost track of what it was, and he doesn't know if he's good or bad, and he kind of wants to get out, but he's got relationships and he's got things going on, and it's very tense all the time. The agent is Holden Carver. He has power. He has superpowers. The characters in this have superpowers. His powers is that he doesn't feel pain. But what happens is when he does get something that would give him pain, he stores that up as energy. So if anybody else touches his skin, he releases that pain on that person. He also heals fast. He seems to have a healing factor, stuff like that. And his world becomes very muddied, becomes very gray. He becomes friends with some of the bad guys, and he becomes in a relationship with some of them, and it's all very sort of messed up. And that's sort of the deal with this. Like he's trying to always make excuses for what he's doing, whether it's trying to be a good guy, to his bosses. That he's got to explain, well, why didn't you kill that guy? It was like, well, it was a waste of time. It wasn't anything like that. And then, on the other side, he's, when he wants to go back and try to join society again, he can't do that because he's done horrible things. He shot down a plane load of people. So that's sort of the horrible things he's doing while he's undercover. The art in this one is by Sean Phillips, and Sean Phillips is, I've said this before, he's one of my top 5 favorite artists. I love his work. I think he's as good a storyteller as we have in the industry. He has a style that doesn't really look like anybody else's, and it's really one of my favorite things out there. And one of the things that I hadn't remembered about this book is that through the whole thing, he's got this style of page layout where he's got like white boxes outlining smaller boxes inside it, and the whole thing is done in this little outliney style, and it's not a straight grid anywhere. It's not necessarily into breaking a grid, but he's just set up the pages differently. But it creates a singular look across the whole graphic novel, and it's really good. It works very well. Another thing that's fun about this is that each issue, you can see the cover of that issue, but you can also see some of the sketches and the way that he got to that cover at the beginning of each one. There's sort of like extras within the middle of the book instead of just at the end. It's just a fabulous adult, not the adult, but the grown-up adult sort of HBO programming, adult kind of comic book that I love people to read because it goes against what they think of. It is a superhero comic, I guess technically there are superheroes in this world, but it's a grown-up superhero comic with very little superhero in it. It's sort of like I'd say if you liked Gotham Central, you would love this. It comes around at about the same time, and of course Ed Brubaker was involved with that. Anyway, one of the best books that I've read, one of my favorites in my collection, and it held up just as well when I went back and read it 8 years later, which is a pretty cool thing. So you can check that out. We will be back with more after this.
GameFly is the largest online video game rental service and offers you a choice from over 7,000 new classic titles across all consoles and handhelds. With plans starting at $15.95 a month, GameFly members can rent 1 to 4 games at a time and keep them as long as they like. There are no late fees, no due dates, and shipping is always free. Once you're done playing a game, send it back and GameFly will send you the next available game on your list. If you really like the game you're playing, simply click Keep It on the GameFly website and the game is yours at a discounted price. GameFly will even mail you the case and manuals free of charge. iFanboy fans get a 2-week free trial when they go to www.gamefly.com/iFanboy. Some restrictions apply. See the website for details.
Hey, and welcome to the first edition of Profiles of Superheroes. I'm Ron Richards, and what we're going to be doing here is taking a look at a comic book character that you may have never heard of, or maybe you've heard of them, but you don't know much about their origin, history, or their powers. We're not going to be talking about the obvious ones like Batman or Superman or all those characters we know all about already. We're going to be digging deep in to find the treasures that over 40 years of superhero comics can bring us. With that, today we're going to be looking up to the north to our friends in Canada, specifically Puck from Alpha Flight. Created by John Byrne in 1983, Puck debuted in Alpha Flight number 1. His real name is Eugene Milton Judd, and he's best known as being the short guy in Alpha Flight with the mustache. Oh, and he's buddies with Wolverine. And that pretty much sums up what I knew about him. But then I wondered, what are his powers? I knew he could fight and bounce around, and always figured he was a mutant like one of the X-Men. Turns out that originally Puck had no superpowers, rather just worked really hard to become a good fighter like Batman did. He was trained in martial arts and acrobatics, and that was it. To quote the character database on Marvel.com, Eugene Judd originally possessed no superhuman powers, except perhaps for his magically induced diminutive height. That means he's short. But like any good comic book character, they couldn't leave well enough alone. Nope, Puck had a run-in with Alpha Flight's arch-enemy, the Master of the World, who manipulated Puck's genetic structure. His body cells were condensed at the molecular level, making his body similar to compressed rubber. This leads to his trademark attack, a cartwheeling motion that allows him to spin really fast, knock people down, and bounce off of them. One might think that his character name of Puck was a Shakespearean reference to the character from A Midsummer's Night Dream, but after hearing this and his powers, I think he may literally be named after a hockey puck. I mean, he is Canadian. But it doesn't stop there. Puck also had a run-in with the villain the Black Razor, where he revealed that he knew a little bit of magic, including the ability to put himself in a temporary death-like trance. I have no idea how that's useful in a fight. But also, according to Wikipedia, he's skilled at bullfighting. Interestingly enough, his size and cellular condition make him have to live in varying amounts of constant pain. And like his buddy Wolverine, his aging was slowed down at some point. He looks like he's in his 30s, but he was actually friends with Ernest Hemingway. Sadly, Puck died in the pages of New Avengers recently. Around issue 16, when the character Michael Pointer, then known as the Collective, killed him and all of his teammates in Alpha Flight. The Collective is now known as Weapon Omega and is a member of the Dark X-Men. So while Puck may be dead, this is comics, and he does have quite the fan cult following online, so I wouldn't be surprised if they bring him back someday, and now you know all about his powers when they do. This was Profiles of Superheroes, and long live Puck.
You can manage your entire Squarespace site on the go with the new Squarespace iPhone application. You can post and edit blog entries, upload pictures on the fly, manage content, save drafts, preview your updates, and access your site's stats. The Squarespace iPhone app has a completely custom user interface developed in-house to match your Squarespace site's look and feel completely. It's also the only iPhone application on any major publishing platform that contains an iPhone-native statistics interface, tightly integrating your phone, your site, and your data. Snap photos on your phone and quickly post them to your blog, or easily draft blog posts directly from your Post tab. All of your current tags and categories will be there. All of your posts will be accessible directly from your Manage tab. You can edit drafts, delete posts, and preview posts with ease. Double-check your work before you click Publish with the app's Preview tab. You can now view your Squarespace site statistics right from your application Statistics tab. Unique visits, page views, popular search terms, RSS subscribers, and top refers are all included. Your Accounts tab allows you to manage content for multiple Squarespace sites. You can save a draft post for one site and then easily jump to another site to schedule a post for later in the day. All of this and more is available now with Squarespace. Hey, welcome back. I got some boxes here. You may be wondering, why does Conor have some boxes here? Well, I'll tell you. I was in my storage unit a couple days ago getting some comics out for this show. We got to, do research and make graphics and stuff. And I have 30 plus long boxes, and they're all stacked up in a row. You can see them now on the screen. And it's really tough to go in and get my comics because they're all stacked up. I got to take the ones down on the top if I want to get to the boxes on the bottom, and I don't know what's what or where anything is. So I got to go through all the boxes. At the end of the day, I'm all pissed off and annoyed. My back hurts, and it's a big production, and I hate comics after that. And as you can see, some of my boxes are old. This is a newer one here, but this is an older one. You can see this is all water damage. There's a stain here. Plus, when I lifted it up, it broke. The handle ripped off, and I nearly dropped everything and lost it all. So that's a problem. So what I decided to do after that day when I got home was I went on to the internet, and I went to collectiondrawer.com, and I ordered a pack of drawer boxes, and that's what this box here is. It's a set of 5 drawer boxes, and I thought today I would pop out the boxes from their holder here, and I would make one and transfer my comics over and see if it's actually better to have them in the drawer boxes rather than the long boxes, because these are just annoying. I don't like seeing them. I don't like the look of them. The thought of lifting them all makes my back hurt. My back's hurting now. So let's make one, see how that goes, and see if this is actually a better product than this. Okay, I've built me a drawer box, which wasn't so bad. There was a couple of questionable moments. I nearly lost control of the sleeve thing here, but once I figured out how it was supposed to go in, it was no problem. So here's the drawer box. It's basically a drawer. You put your comics in, you open the drawer up, and there you go. You can get into your comics. Now, there's a couple of features here I didn't really get into. One was the box locks, box anchors, which flew everywhere when I opened the bag. There are some here. You put these into the holes before you build the inside to make a locking system where you can basically build one big column and lock them together. I didn't put them in for a couple of reasons. One, I don't know what comics are going to go into what boxes. I don't know what kind of configuration I'm going to put them into. The other is, didn't quite figure out how they work yet. I did want to do it, spend all this time on camera figuring that out. So I'm going to look into those later. I can always take the box apart again and put them in if I want to use them. So for that, and then these are the dividers they come with. There's a little railing system that I put in earlier. There's a piece, let's see over here. It's a railing system. Basically, it goes along the side and you slip dividers in there. I haven't put the dividers in yet. I'm not sure what I want to do with that either. So there's a couple more features I haven't really figured out. So I haven't really done that yet. But I've got me a drawer box and I've got me a long box. Let's see the comparison. Oh, that's heavy. See, the drawer box versus the long box. The long box is a little shorter, and the drawer box is a little bit shorter on the long end. So it's not as tall as the drawer box. The drawer box is a little taller. It's a little bit shorter by about that much, about 3 inches, 2.5 inches. So now I'm going to throw that over there, knock a light over, and open the box. And I've got my Avengers comics, my Captain America, my Invincible Iron Man. These are all before. This is the Wade Kubert run. So these are from the early, about 10 years ago. This is when the stops and the rest are in other boxes. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these Iron Man, slip those in. This is a full long box. So we're gonna see if we can get a full long box into one drawer box. This is an absolutely full long box. As you can see, there's no more room. So we'll see how that goes. All these Iron Man, these fell over. This is really a two-man job. The one thing I can say about these drawer boxes is, as you can see, when I put them together, there's multiple pieces, whereas these old long boxes are just the one piece and then the top. This is a very much sturdier. It's thicker. It's like 1.5 inches of cardboard for each box. So this is something that's probably not going to fall apart on you. Well, a divider will fit in there, and now goes in Captain America. Ooh, Cap Wolf. That's unfortunate. I didn't need to see that ever again. Probably sell some of these eventually, or just give them away. Might want to read that one again. Ooh, that's a Mike Mignola cover. Nice. Okay, so Cap's in there with Iron Man, and then Avengers, which it's looking dicey as to whether or not that'll fit. There goes the Kurt Busiek, George Perez Avengers run into the box with you. And there's some older, that's a bent up one. We'll deal with that one later. Into the box you go. Box is getting full, it's getting close. And that'll probably do it for that box. Probably fit a few more in, but there's about this much left over from the old long box to the new one. Let's just toss this old long box away. Which I can probably fit a few more in there, but that's not too bad. So now I got a full drawer box. Can lift it, it's got a hole in the side. Lift it up, open my box to get my comics out. And there you go. I can probably fit 3 or 4 more in. So I'm gonna have this much left over, which means if I've got 30 long boxes, I'll probably need 31, 32 drawer boxes. So that's one downside. The one downside is it won't fit your entire long box, but it'll fit 90%, 95%. The other downside is because it's a sturdy box and there's so many more pieces, you can see this big box over here. This holds 5 drawer boxes. They're a little bit more expensive. A regular long box will run you about $10, a little bit less. This will run you, when you buy them in bulk, runs you about $15, $17. So if you really want, if you've got a lot of long boxes and you hate having to go through them all up and down, and you want to be able to just pull the drawer open and get to your boxes or of comics, then it might be worth the expense. For me it is, because I'm sick of going through all those comics. I just want to be able to walk in, open up a drawer, voila, Avengers we are. So I'm gonna put that back over there. So that is a drawer box. I made it myself. You can send us an email at contact@ifanboy.com. You can also call us on our voicemail line, which is 888-FANBOYS, which is 326-2697. Any comments or questions, I might use them on this show or our weekly audio show. And finally, you can check out ifanboy.com, where you can talk about this show. You can see all of our great weekly content, our audio podcast, which comes out every Sunday about the weekly comics, all the great stuff happening at iFanboy, plus revision3.com/ifanboy, which has all of our old shows, the old minis we used to do, all of our old video shows. There's hundreds of hours of content in there for you to enjoy. And I'm going to now make the rest of these long boxes, and then I'm going to take a rest. See you next week. on the end of the wider flaps. Then the side flap without the tab. Finally hold the tab at a 90-degree bend at the base of the tab insert. Oh boy. Alright.